Ave, Imperator Rome players. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Imperator Egypt. Well, sort of. Yes, we're playing as Egypt, the Ptolemaic kingdom. So we're going. What we want to do now is I want elephants. I really just want elephants. So we have Elephantus Agarum. What is that? Elephant Market? Agorum? Something like that. You might translate that, as well as out here, which is Ptolemaic Theron. Also there are elephants, I think, up here too. No, those are dates. There's some elephants up here. So we want elephants. So we're going to go to war with Blemmia, whatever. Blemmia. Names I'm not used to saying. That's who we're going to go to war with. So we're going to send these guys over there. Now we have another problem. Maligar. He is losing loyalty. Now, we can reward veterans. We don't have enough money. That will reduce. I just made a tutorial video. Will reduce the number of loyal cohorts, which will reduce the amount of changes per month. But that still doesn't solve the problem. So what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to give him a wife. Maybe that might make him more pleased. This Sosnid, again, names I'm not used to. Alexandrid, Sosnid, I don't know. Family has relatives all over the place. We got them from conquering Cyrenaica. So I don't want to marry him off to them, because if he goes rogue on us, I'm not sure if it'll bring the rest of the family with them. I don't think we want to marry him to Berenice here. The Magrid is the Scorn family. Yeah, it's a Scorn family. They Mother Beneri, which was consort to Ptolemy, but for some reason they don't have. So it's like half-brother situation. They don't have, not considered father. I guess it's not acknowledged, so they're sort of considered something of a scorned family. So we don't want to marry him into, even though that would strengthen the bloodline, and also that does strengthen the bloodline in his potential claims to the throne. But I want to marry him to a let's see, didn't I? Not here. I want to marry him into a Greek family. Let's see, who is she? Alexandrid, researcher, mother Egyptian, brother. There was a Garbus daughter here, but we don't. Well, I'm going to wait a little bit. But what we're going to also do is come back over here, and we're going to change the army commander to Cherondas, also of that family. Sothnid. These are still loyal to him, but what he wants to be, Malagar, is a governor. And so we're going to find him here on here. He's not going to be a very good governor, but we're going to give him out in Cyrenaica. We can't do too much damage. Oh, well, no, first. No. First, before we do that, because again, that might give him, a little too much power. We're going to bribe him. We're going to make sure he's friendly to us. And this is with oratory power we're bribing him, basically, as opposed to with money. We gain a little bit of corruption, which isn't nice for Ptolemy. But we gain loyalty from him. And I have played forward in this several times to sort of test things out, learn the game a little better, to present it to you a little bit better. And if we let this go, he's going to become disloyal, and then once Ptolemy dies, he will start a civil war. So we're going to bribe him with this for that, and that gets him up to 53. So that's good. So he's been bribed. And so now that he is more loyal to us, we're going to come over here. And we are going to look for him. Oh, we went too far down. Okay. There he is. We're going to make him governor out here. Cyrenaica. So he doesn't do too much damage to us. Now let's look at him. Now we're at 73 loyalty. That's just sort of enough to be reasonably loyal. Obviously, we are going to see the minority legal system, pretender and loyal cohorts dragging him away, but he's starting in a good place. So we are going to see about rewarding veterans once we get a bit more money. Pull that away from him. So this army, which, yeah, they're marching out over there. We're going to add 2 more camel corps to it. I think it just has 2 right now. Desert cavalry. Ah, and Rhodes. Rhodes, envoy, local, okay. Now one thing I want to see about is diplomacy. Rhodes has the island of Rhodes, this little island chained out here, and 2 mainland provinces. They got lots of trade routes. Let's see if we can open up diplomacy here. Alliance actions. Okay. Rhodes is a local power. We are a major power. The different ranks do not sign formal alliances. We cannot join a defensive league with them. We're too powerful to join one. But we can offer a guarantee, which they will likely accept. More positive than negative. Same religion, diplomatic relations, that kind of thing. Though they don't like us as much as maybe we like them. So we're going to do that to sort of gain something of an ally. And I like that this is a defensive alliance, because I don't want them thinking, oh, well, we get to go fight these other guys who are also aligned to, you know, myriad of other people and drag us into a war that money-wise we might be able to afford, but manpower we can't. So I'm going to offer them a guarantee, which means if they get attacked, and they might, we will come to their aid. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to come to our aid, but still. Okay, we got you to get out of the desert, even though your camels you're still having. And hopefully you'll move fairly quick. I haven't really looked at movement speed of animals versus walking units. Okay, let's see. Movement speed 4. And movement speed 2. So it's twice the movement speed as this unit will be. Let's say I haven't done a deep dive in much. Okay, damage versus light infantry. We can see all that. Okay, well, this is all a primitive. I like Empire's, or Field of Glory Empire battle setup better. They've done a better job than Paradox. And when you add in Field of Glory 2, let's join these while we can. Full setup in there. No, I don't see. Okay, good. Planes. Being able to export the battles to that game, fight them in that game, and bring them fairly seamlessly, I understand. is something that I really, really look forward to. Okay, cancer. He has a cancer now. We have been artificially keeping him alive to his historical date. 81 years old. He made it to 85, 86. Yeah, I'm going to save this. I'm not going to keep him alive forever, even if he could be, but and I'm not trying to coming over and editing the save game. We're going to reload that just so you know what I'm doing. I'm learning about how the game is modded and works. I'm not someone who thinks that we're going to have all the Ptolemies all ruling at the exact historical moments, exact historical times. But he is sort of the founder and an important one, and I would feel a lot different if I, say, lost him in a battle or some other sort of thing like that. So, okay, well now, we now have a treasury of over 400, so we're going to click here. We are going to oh no, we need to, do we come here? No. Reward veterans, because these are his veterans that we're rewarding to get them more loyal to the state. So we will lose 311 and that, so we can come over here again and see the units that were loyal to him. It was the first 4 of these, this heavy infantry unit and 2 horse units. So obviously one of the horse units and one of the archers and 2 of the light infantry lost it. So he won't have such a following. Is this the next month? Yeah, I see it's now down to 0.04 instead of 0.11. So he won't lose his disloyalty as fast. He still will lose it, but not as fast. And if something were to go wrong, and he'll have less units. Okay, trade route request, certainly from the Hellenistic local power of Nesisoclead. I'm sorry, I'm butchering some of these things. If I heard them pronounced a few times, I would be good. Okay, yeah, we'll take that. We want the money in fort defenses. Nice too. We do have a few forts around. Okay, we're going to give him this army a leader, and I want to make it not a tactician, that's a good choice, an original thinker. Okay, he's also aggressive. We're going to train him up here, because we're going to use him to help capture some of these fortifications. Now we have to take this to be able to move beyond it, so we're going to have to besiege that. There's another fort right here. We'll have to get in their capital, I think, is down here. Okay, maybe I should have started doing some of that a little before. Let's slow this up a little bit. And come to our diplomacy screen. If we just declare war and show superiority, we're going to get hit with a big no casus belli thing. So what we want to do is covert actions, is make fabricated claims. And we're going to claim Ptolemaeus of the Hunt. That's the reason it belongs to us is because it's called Ptolemaic. That's sufficient for me. So this is our region. It's actually named after us. So we want it. So we have to wait a few days a bit longer because they're way far away from our capital. Even though they're right on our border. Let me come in here and see. It's until August 3rd, so just a few more days, but diplomats en route. Okay, now that they've reached there and that, we're going to declare war. We're going to take that. Yes, okay, we're at war. So all you guys come down here. So that's our current military. Well, let's move this back up. This is just going to be a siege, so we'll... And we need to slowly... It just... All they have are coastal provinces, so we just move down the coast, taking as much as we can. Oh, I shouldn't have called in my allies. Oh well. Not that they'll hurt anything, but what they will do is maybe try to take some provinces, and which just take them in our name, which is good. But these are very underpopulated provinces as it is, so we don't want to damage the population too much. Okay, well, we're at war now. I think both of these, siege ability is useful, but I think supply limit may be more useful. So we're going to go with increased supply limit by 10%. I try very much to do the texts that are most useful to do sort of now or first or whatever. And so that way, if it's a thing that, say, increases research speed, might as well do that first instead of doing something else first, because it'll just increase all the subsequent research. But if you're, say, in the middle of a war, and research is nice and good, but winning the war is more immediate, you do the war stuff first. And yes, the siege, it could be argued that it would be better, but I'm mostly looking for, right now, not to have too much, because we are taking more losses due to attrition of various types than we are getting new people in. And because we've declared war, aggressive expansion is up, yeah, but we're going to get this, and then it's going to go to peace. Peace out for a while once we get that. And this would be a good time. I'm going to answer some a question or series of questions. Basically, and I just paused it to get the other information up on the screen here. Got more than one screen, fortunately, for making these videos. Okay. And if you have questions about the ancient world, the Hellenistic world, have two sort of sets of questions. And I'm going to be answering one now, but we'll let this siege roll on instead of pausing it. It was about the end of the Roman monarchy, when it becomes a republic, a res publica. And this is actually a very important topic. Hi Rick, how you doing? I hope you're watching this. When it happened, according to general history, is in 509 BC. I say some of that because I knew the overall story, but I recently read a little bit more on Wikipedia, and since Wikipedia can never be wrong and holds all the accumulated history of mankind, we're going to trust it. Now, that was, of course, said sort of facetiously, but as it said was, the Celts came in and burned, when they sacked Rome at one time, burned lots and lots of the records. So they think that no one had contemporary records from the Roman monarchy when people like Livy and other historians wrote about the earlier days. So even then, it's a lot of hearsay that they had 7 kings and whatnot. So we don't necessarily have good, solid history. We have history, but not maybe good, solid history. So, and the other question was, who was the last king of? Okay, no, pause. Okay, last king of Rome. Okay, we're going to move the big army down to here. And see how this fort, now that we have this fort, is going to take this area. I think it's going to take it more gently than if we besieged it. So we're going to bypass that to hopefully not cause population problems and come down here and start just sort of locally besieging the town with this smaller army here. Okay, so the last king of Rome was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus. Okay, the march of time finds us all. How sad. Dementia. Oh, okay. What's the age? I'm checking his age here. Okay. Becomes, of course, not a very good ruler now, but no, well, it's getting close. So I guess we may let that go. I may change it, though. Now, the Tarquinius element refers to an Etruscan. Oh, good, we get units moving down here. We're going to have a battle. Refers to an Etruscan city-state, the Etruscan Empire, if you will. And people have often disagreed with me when I call things empires, and that they weren't necessarily with a central leader or central capital, but they weren't necessarily they weren't necessarily in very much unified. And we may just lose this. Wow. We are going to lose this war. You saw that here first, children. Okay, we were defeated. I don't like this result. So we're going to load game. We're going to go back to here. This is one thing, and I can tell you why we lost it, too. I don't know if you watched it carefully, or one of the factors was that this unit here entered the combat first, and then gets taken out. So I'm going to actually add a archer unit to it, and let these guys come down here. As opposed to having them come together. I need to pay a little more attention to what was going on. And we can also start our diplomatic dance with them here. Okay, so back to and you really shouldn't run wars on speed 3, even what I was going to take to be a simple war. So he was an Etruscan. It was like the last 3 generations had the Tarquinius name within theirs. So it was a foreign monarchy, and that's an important element of it. So the last three were believed to be in Roman mythology and tradition to be Etruscans. These guys. Etruscans seem like rather good people, actually, overall, compared to some of their neighbors, but maybe that's why they didn't last. The more brutal, aggressive people win at times. So, you have the founding of Rome with Romulus. And then eventually you have a foreign monarchy. And some of the story goes is when the king is out of town, his son Sextus rapes a noblewoman, Lucretia, afterwards reveals the offense. I'm reading from that Wikipedia source, to some noblemen, and then commits suicide. The nobleman, led by Lucius Junius Brutus, a very important name in Roman history, gets the support of the aristocracy of Rome. And then think of it, got to remember, this is just, they had built, I think under the Etruscan monarchy, the first bridge across the river Tiber before it was just a ford. So this is a very early primitive small city. So you have a monarchy, then you have a foreign monarchy, and then you have the people wanting to throw off that monarchy and Rex, that's the Latin for kings. Yes, I'm stopping playing to tell us because that's why I lost that battle, as well as some of the other reasons I said. This is partially in my mind, at least why I'm justifying the restart. Throwing off the foreign monarchy. Monarchy now has a bad taste in Roman thought and name, and so they set up a res publica, a republic. Basically, I think led by Brutus, but I don't think there is at this point the idea of a president even, or an imperator. A lot of this stuff is done sort of by committee at times, and I don't know, and I don't think we have good records on what the early, I'm talking like the first 5 or 10 years of the Roman Republic, what sort of republic form of government. But I wouldn't mistake it for a democracy, meaning one person, one vote, even of a citizen versus slave versus freedman, versus women at all. Women had very low status in Roman society. Basically, in Roman society, a woman belonged to a man, to one status or another. You get down into the lower orders, that doesn't hold up so well. And you get in the sort of the uppermost orders, that again doesn't hold up so well. But mostly they're responsible of their paterfamilias, the male head of the family. So she goes from being her father's or her uncles or grandfathers or whatever sort of extended family to being a member of a new family. This is sort of middle class and upper class types, to the new family, her husband's family, and who has a new paterfamilias, local, in that her husband secondarily or primarily, or however you want to look at it, would be the overall family. Again, I say this because you drop down to the lower orders of Rome, and it's a lot more chaotic than any sort of theoretical side. And slaves status varies in this game, and I'm sure we'll talk about this. Meaning a lot of slaves have their apartment somewhere, and they just got to show up for work. And they may even be paid a little bit, or they may sleep in a corner of the house in which they're working for. But because I say that because, or somewhere, but they're not like chained up. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, you're a slave. And one of the things we see in here, and I don't know if it's still here, they talk about if you've run away, a fugitive slave, you get this branded on you. So, the really harsh stuff is, being a slave in a mine or gladiatorial slave. Now, none of this, this is in no way because we live in this modern social justice world, whether we like it or hate it. This is in no way saying, oh, light slavery is okay. No, it's just describing the different conditions, not justifying or accepting it. So you have that, but you also have the very sort of low-level citizen status, and it's a lot more chaotic than you might want to think, or the Romans might want you to think on things like that. And yeah, so now, so you go from, and this is where I'm going to do a little history teaching, you go from a monarchy to a foreign monarchy to a republic. The republic grows and gets bigger. It becomes too unwieldy for a republic to function in multiple elements now. Size partially is a matter of population sizes, is partially a matter of distance, and not so much geographical distance, but communication distance. That's an important element, communication distance. Because it doesn't matter if you have a part of your country here, and part of your country here, and part of your country here. If you can get from here to here as fast as you can get from here to here, maybe because all three of them by ship, it doesn't matter that this is here. Or maybe you may be better illustrated if part of your country is over here, part of your country's here, and then you can get from here to here as fast as this part could get from here to here, because walking or riding horses is often slower than going via ship. So it's communication difference. Rome becomes too big. It moves into a dictatorship, an empire instead of a king. A king has a certain source of legitimacy that an emperor who has more of a source of legitimacy from pure might of arms. Now, where can we see this happening again in history? Well, there was once a kingdom called Anglesland, England. It goes along pretty happily. It's trying to battle and rule in France, but eventually it sort of ends up being rather English, on the British Isles. And it has lots of monarchy, chaos, problems, civil wars, and whatnot, but it has a monarchy. That gets sort of stable down, and it sort of imports a semi-foreign Scottish monarchy. Still has problems, but that's going on fairly well. But then it imports a foreign monarchy, a real foreign monarchy, from Hanover, somewhere over in here. And the monarch, first one doesn't speak any English. The second one can sort of swear and speak very, very limited English. That's George the First, George the Second. You don't get until George the Third, who is the grandson of George the Second, because it was going to be Frederick the First, who dies before he becomes king. So they go to his son, who had already been born, and by that time, a bit older. So you sort of skip a generation there. So you have a foreign monarchy, and you have communication distances way out over here in the Americas that are too far away, and you have that, and it's a foreign monarchy, and so then you overthrow monarchy, and monarchy in the new country, which, unlike in Rome, doesn't take over the old capital, sets up a republic. The republic gets bigger. Now, part of what saves the republic as a republic, it does have a civil war, so don't think everything is always and will always be something that is, non-violent, tame within it, that history has ended. You have things like telegraphs and telephones, and now instantaneous communication around the world. So we can now communicate a lot better. And unlike Rome, who under Marcus Aurelius sort of gave everybody who wasn't a slave citizenship. Yeah, but sort of this dividing line here, these people, all the elites and lots of people spoke Greek, and over here a lot of the elites spoke Latin, but still it wasn't a unified cultural identity, you know, all being called citizens. But America did have, and is only now starting to really lose it, a central cultural identity and a central language identity. Yes, we know about Poles and Italians and other people emigrating into the U.S., but you had much, much more idea that they needed to learn English to function in society. We have less of that, and we have more and more people coming into America who are here to work and make a good living, but not necessarily to become Americans. This has nothing to do with skin color, please. I'm not carrying anything to do with skin color, because it doesn't matter if you're Chinese or what your racial background is. It has nothing to do with that. It's, do you want to be an American, or are you coming here for a job to make money, to send money back home, to eventually maybe move back home with a what would locally be a big pile of money? That's sort of some of the differences. Nothing, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, you can be moving back to Europe, or some other place. It has nothing to do with your race. It has to do with a coherent, an agreed upon cultural value system that we're losing in America. So you can see how the history of Rome feeds into the history of America, which feeds into my belief someday. And no, Trump ain't it. Trust me, all of you people who think Trump's going to do something. God, no. Trump, all of Trump's main supporters, like, I don't know, like the NRA, are the people who love the Constitution more than the Democrats. The Democrats want to change the Constitution. They want to get rid of the First Amendment, or at least amend it so hate speech is not protected speech, and get rid of the Second Amendment so people don't have the right to have guns, and get rid of, what is it, the third or the fourth, the one where you can quarter troops upon the populace. And so, they want to get rid of all of these things and change them to other things. So it's not the conservatives, the right, that is going to have a dictator in most likely situations. But I think that is where ultimately, I hope not in my lifetime, and I probably got at least hopefully another 50 years, but I think is where we're heading in America. So that's the history talk. Okay, we're going to slow this up a little bit, back to gameplay. So that is what is important about Rome and the fall of the monarchy there, and how it is important to us. Okay, again, we're going to move all of these guys here. Barbarians go to location. Okay. Ooh, you're coming here. Okay. Not fun. You come here. Yeah, unfortunately I can't break off enough units to try to move fast. They're going to take this. I think I'm also going to move, because here we have barbarians rising. Down here we have less barbarians rising. So we're going to come up to here. You want to keep your troops out of the desert area, because they'll just have attrition levels. Even if sort of kind of supports it, the size of the army. So you want to keep the troops in green pastures as much as possible. Okay, you remember here we did before, so we're going to do again. Come over here and reward veterans. Spend a big chunk of our money. But we're stopping a civil war well before it happens, hopefully. Yes, go to location. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, good. We're gonna... I want to say this is one of our more populous cities. Keep wanting to say province. It looks like we'll beat them there. Okay, we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. See you next time for more historical gaming.